my fellow comic book collectors, it's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this video I actually want to get into something that's been really bothering me. I watch videos from other YouTubers, and one of the things that I constantly hear, I hear this on so many channels, is, oh, look at the census is getting bigger. Oh, therefore the prices should drop. And it's like a thing I hear all the time, where they see the growth of the census as meaning that there's more books of that are available. Okay, that somehow the numbers of the census represent that the market, that there's more supply on the market for those books. Well, I don't get that. I really don't understand it. And I'll explain why I don't understand it. So there's actually the same number of books. that There's just raw books, and then there's graded books. Those raw books were selling previously for whatever they sold for, and now people have, decided, hey, I'll take those raw books and grade them. And as a result, there's more on the census. But what that means is there's less raw books that are out there. It doesn't mean that there's more books altogether. It's just, it doesn't work that way. It's, there's raw books plus graded books, and that's the market. That's the size of the market. Well, it's just one gets smaller and one get bigger. It doesn't matter. Like if somebody decided to crack out all of the CGC slabs, I'm pointing at you, Night Tiger, then that wouldn't mean that all of a sudden those books are scarce. It just means that graded copies are more scarce than raw copies. So it's not that it's not that the book has become more common just because there's more copies on the census. All it means is that there's now more graded copies compared to ungraded copies that existed before. So this is something that's been bothering me, and I kind of wanted to address it. And I want to sort of get into the implications of what these numbers mean. Because usually what's been happening is people say, oh, there's now more books on census, and therefore the value of the book should drop accordingly. That because there's supply and demand, more supply means that there has to be equal amounts of demand to keep up with that supply, or the price will drop. Well, as I said, if the supply is actually the same, it doesn't mean that there's more supply. It just means there's more supply of graded comics. Now, that could, in theory, impact the value of graded comics, because people will say, okay, well, there's more availability of graded comics, but it doesn't impact the actual demand for a particular comic. And that's something people, I think, don't understand. And it's really important to understand, because a lot of the time people are thinking these books should drop, when really all it's showing is that people value the books enough to get them graded. Like if I see a book and it's under $100, I'm not going to bother getting it graded, because there's just no value in getting it graded. It costs $50 to get it graded. Well, why would you spend that much money, like nearly half the value of the book, if it's worth less than $100, half the value of the book on getting it graded? It just doesn't make any sense. But if the book is it goes above that value, then it might start making sense. Well, what we see when books are getting more and more graded is actually people feel that there's enough value there to get them graded. So in my mind, seeing an increase in the census actually implies that there's a demand, or a perceived demand, that people are trying to meet by getting their books graded, that there's enough value there to get the books graded. So if anything, it's actually the opposite meaning than what people are interpreting from the fact that they're saying the census is growing. Oh, that means the sky's going to fall because there's more books. There's now more books available. No, it does not mean that there's more books available. It just means there's more graded copies available. So again, I don't understand. And you can explain to me in the comments below. Tell me how wrong I am in the comments below. why people think that just because the census is growing, that the price should drop, that there's now more supply somehow on the market. I don't see that. I think that there's more supply, sure, of graded comics, but the overall supply is the same because you're just taking raw comics and converting them into graded comics. So at the end of the day, the amount of books of a particular issue is the same. So tell me in the comments how wrong I am, and I'd love to hear it. But I thought this was a good thing to sort of tell the community about, and something I'd like to hear more discussion about. Does the census increase actually really, or should it impact the value of the books? I don't think so. If anything, it just gives me more assurance that these books are worthy of getting graded. So that's my thought on it. I'd love to hear people's thoughts on it. Put it in the comments below. Bye for now.